This video is sponsored by MediaTek.
Usually these days, if I'm showing you a phone with a full QWERTY keyboard on this channel, odds are it's in a throwback video, like in my When Phones Were Fun series. Not today.
But don't confuse scarcity with a lack of interest. Truth is that the last time I did a video on phones like this, over 1 million people watched it. So whether you're a BlackBerry holdout, a nostalgic rubbernecker, or just here for something weird, settle in for a look at the new QWERTY keyboard communicator in town, the Titan Pocket. My review device came in about a week ago from Unihertz, the same Shanghai-based manufacturer that brought us such curiosities as the minuscule Jelly, the super small Atom, and the totally not-so-tiny Titan. That's what Unihertz does, creates specialty smartphones for niche audiences and sells them for what I think are fairly reasonable prices. Some compromises come along with that, which I'll touch on, but for once, crowdfunding isn't one of my concerns. The Titan Pocket is launching on Kickstarter, but Unihertz has used that platform to launch all 5 of its prior smartphone models, and none of them ended up being vaporware. I'm just happy companies like this exist for those of us who really do appreciate something different. Even when that something different is something that's also quite familiar. Yep, like its direct predecessor, the Titan Pocket is a BlackBerry clone in everything but the name. But this one has been scaled back from mega passport proportions to something a little closer to a BlackBerry Classic that spent all of quarantine in the gym. Make no mistake, it's beefy at 216 grams and as thick as a closed Galaxy Fold 2. But it's much more pocketable than the first Titan and more ergonomic as well, with a slight hourglass shape that places the 2 keys per side right under the fingers. The reddest of those buttons is my favorite because it's fully customizable. If you're like me, you'll set 1 click to summon Google Assistant, 2 clicks to take a screenshot, and you can press and hold it to spark up the flashlight. And if you're not like me, you can do whatever you want. Same goes for these 26 letter keys, each one of which can be set to launch not just 1, but 2 apps depending on whether you short press or press and hold. And if you don't want to do any pressing at all, the keyboard also pulls double duty as a capacitive trackpad, so you can scroll without obscuring the screen.
Now, the last time I talked about these blatant BlackBerry ripoffs, my tone was a lot more flabbergasted, but look, the sad fact is that if you want a QWERTY candy bar phone in 2021, this is the closest thing to a BlackBerry you're going to get. So why not go whole hog, right?
Why not indeed? See, while Unihertz absolutely nailed the physical tactility of typing on a BlackBerry with these keys, it also immediately undermined that win by placing the modifier keys up at the top of the keyboard again. If you don't get how huge a miss that is, look down at your computer keyboard and try imagining your Shift, Control, and Alt keys way up in the function row. It messes with your muscle memory every time you use the keyboard, and that's compounded by the decision to nest the spacebar between the V and B keys down here. The result is a phone that more often than not just reminds me how much I miss my old Key 2. In asking some industry friends about this bizarre decision, the most common speculation is that Unihertz is doing this to avoid litigation from BlackBerry. But if that's the case, I wish Unihertz would just license the old IP to build a proper new BlackBerry, like Texas-based Onward Mobility is trying to do. Easier said than done, I know, but a guy can dream. Now, if you can get used to that keyboard, the Titan Pocket has other throwbacks in store that the target customer will absolutely love. Up top, a good old-fashioned IR transmitter so the phone can serve as a remote control, right next to a 3.5mm headphone jack that also services an FM radio tuner. The home button doubles up too as a fingerprint sensor, and next to that sits physical back and multitasking keys. Don't worry, this is Android 11, so you can use gestures for those if you prefer, but it's great that you have the option of preserving the tactility of the keyboard even with system functions. And finally, there's also a 3-color notification LED here for all those who miss the old BlackBerry Spark. You're never going to get the same level of BlackBerry security that came along with it, but, well, it's something anyway. Camera samples, pricing, and my final thoughts on the Titan Pocket after this. Soon, I hope to be spending a little less time at home. Until then, deciding what to watch as a family continues to be a challenge. So my sponsor MediaTek sent over something to preserve the peace. This Vizio Smart TV fit right in on my bedroom dresser. And yeah, I'll have to bump up my artwork to clear it, but you know what? I'm fine with that. Because this TV has integrated Wi-Fi and Chromecast built right in. So I don't need to buy another dongle to stream video from my phone. And because sometimes I'm too lazy, tired, to choose what I want to watch, Pluto TV is preloaded, so it can do the discovering for me. MediaTek also sent over this chair box. Just kidding. It's a JBL 5.1 soundbar and subwoofer, which gives my movies the floor-shaking sound that makes me glad my only downstairs neighbor is my roommate. These weren't just sent by MediaTek, they're made possible by it. Because as the world's #1 connectivity provider, MediaTek powers 70% of smart TVs globally. Thanks to MediaTek for sponsoring this video.
Now, one thing you never bought a BlackBerry for was its camera, and that's a tradition the Titan Pocket continues.
We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. The cameras are not good. The detail is not sharp, the color is not right, the low light is not clean, the dynamic range is not there. This camera is useful for scanning documents or QR codes and taking photos of flowers at high noon. Don't trust it with your baby's first steps photos or even random cat snaps. It's also not the most highly spec'd phone around, with its Helio P70 chipset first announced way back in 2018. But I don't think you'll notice that limitation unless you try to use it for something absurd like gaming, my thoughts about which are best summed up by Commander Data.
Stop it. Stop. 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 Stop.
Yeah, that speakerphone is great, but keep it to calls. Gaming and media consumption are just not fun on a 3.1-inch screen. Even faving a tweet can take a few scrolls if there's an embedded image. Fortunately, Unihertz does include a contingency for this in the form of mini mode, so you can force an Instagram session in a pinch, in between all the outlooking and to-doisting this thing is actually meant for. And while a 4,000 mAh battery is no longer the biggest thing around, using this phone the way it's intended, I've never even seen the low battery screen. This could easily be a 2-day device between charges, which eases the sting of the loss of wireless charging. Also absent from the Titan Pocket are the IP67 rating its forerunner enjoyed, along with 5G and even the faster 4G bands depending on your carrier. Hat tip to Sasha Segan at PC Mag for pointing that out. But those sacrifices are familiar to boutique phone buyers, and they helped make possible the Titan Pocket's MSRP, $299, when it graduates from Kickstarter in October. That's $100 less than the launch price of the last QWERTY BlackBerry I covered, and $350 less than the price tag on the last BlackBerry worth buying, in my opinion. It's amazing how effective that kind of discount can be at taking the sting out of a specialty phone's compromises. Compromises which will certainly stop me from buying one, but none of which seem like a showstopper to the target buyer. The person who truly needs the closest thing possible to a BlackBerry, at least physically, in 2021. The Titan Pocket is still crowdfunding at press time, with deliveries estimated for September. This review was made possible by a Titan Pocket review sample provided by Unihertz, but as always, the company had no editorial input into or early preview of this content, nor did it provide compensation for its production. Until next time, thanks for watching, and please, if you can, get that vaccine so we can all get back to staying mobile, my friends.